Hello everyone, I am Scuttlest, and I'm coming back from a full playthrough of Warriors Orochi 4 Ultimate. After not really having another Warriors game to sink my teeth into since the release of Vanilla Orochi 4 back in 2018, other than going back to Dynasty Warriors 9 for the sake of hypothetical DLCs, I was eager to get into this Ultimate expansion of the original Orochi 4. But was it good? The original Orochi 4, while I enjoyed it for what it was, and I can admit to its merits, did feel like a rushed-out product that existed to act as an apology and earn back some goodwill after how badly Dynasty Warriors 9 was received. Once I completed my playthrough of Orochi 4, I didn't go back to play it again very much, in complete contrast to Orochi 3. Will Orochi 4 Ultimate be different in this regard? Without further ado, let's begin. Spoiler warning, I will only be skimming over the story of Ultimate in this video, but there will still be massive spoilers, so please go away now if you want to experience the story yourself firsthand. At the end of the original Orochi 4 story, both of the Orochis had fallen, and Odin was killed in front of the Yggdrasil tree he had created, leading to the destruction of the world, prompting the gods to send the humans back to their own worlds. Ultimate rewinds the plot to right before one of the last battles, specifically right after the events of the stage, A Traitorous God. In Ultimate, Yukimura wishes to speak to Loki one final time after that, and with permission, heads off to find him, leading to Loki officially joining the heroes as one of the good guys, in contrast to his fates in the original Orochi 4. Rewinding this story also leads to a few key matters in the plot that the new story needs to resolve, such as both of the Orochi still being active forces, and a small handful of playable characters that are still on Team Bad Guys. From here, the new story of Orochi 4 Ultimate begins as we get a plot dump about Odin. Odin's soul has been separated from his body, and if you kill the body without first dealing with the soul, the body will simply revive. From this, the heroes, with the aid of Gaia in the form of a spirit, as well as Hades, begin working to track down the location of where Odin's soul is kept. This leads to a few battles where Gaia traces the memories of the Earth, giving various bits of lore about Odin and Yggdrasil's planting and growth. A few story facts from the original Orochi 4 are also retconned, such as how in the original Orochi 4 it stated that Odin overcame his fated death at Ragnarok, but here in Ultimate we're told he did indeed die at Ragnarok, but managed to weasel his way out of Hades' grasp. And eventually, the subject of the original Perseus, who Loki masqueraded as in the original Orochi 4, is brought up. It's confirmed that Perseus worked closely with Loki to act against Odin, but he's no longer amongst the living. To earn Odin's trust, Loki had no choice but to end Perseus himself, a fate that Perseus accepted, but an act that Loki has a deep sense of guilt over. But reviving Perseus is possible. Perseus' soul has been separated and scattered around, giving you the option to redo specific stages to hunt for Perseus fragments, which I will talk about in more detail when I begin discussing the gameplay. Just remember they exist for now. We also meet new character Young John, who, compared to Gaia and Hades, just seems kind of there for the most part amongst the new characters. He shows up initially skeptical of the worth of humans, but after seeing their skill and virtue is impressed enough to offer his direct aid. This little arc of his left me rather disappointed, since it's the exact same arc that Taigong Wong and most of the other deities in this franchise have had. And it seems more like an excuse to tack on a few extra battles based on showing humanity's virtue to Young John. He does get a deification, but narratively speaking, it's relevant for only one battle. The returning guest characters, Achilles, Joan of Arc, and Ryu Hayabusa, are also recruited during all this, but they largely just seem like extras, compared to Orochi 3 where these characters were very connected to the plot, such as Achilles being Daji's seemingly invincible bodyguard, or Ryu being the one who puts a stop to Kiyomori's mind control magic. Here, they seem to be tossed in for fan service and have little connection to the plot past their introductory battle. Achilles, due to his connection with the Greek deities, does get to show up from time to time in the dialogue, but he doesn't really do anything significant. The oddest thing here is the game asks you to believe that the Greek gods in Orochi 4 are the same ones Achilles is associated with, when, well, they most definitely aren't the same ones from Warriors of Troy. It's also worth noting that if you ever wondered what it would be like if Koei ever made a Mystic Warriors, a game that focuses only on the various deity characters of the Orochi games, we get a bit of a glimmer of that in Orochi 4 Ultimate. The plot focuses almost entirely on the god characters, with Yukimura being the only human character that shows up consistently, due to his bond with Loki and him being the one who sets off Ultimate's new plot. For whatever reason, the other human character that Loki bonded with in the original Orochi 4, Guan Yinping, is completely irrelevant in this new story. At best, she's just standing in the crowd in a few cutscenes. Bros before hoes, eh, Loki? When human characters besides Yukimura do show up, it tends to feel very names drawn out of a hat random. Even a lot of the deified characters are irrelevant to the story. We just get a few scenes of them all standing together but not really doing anything. The god characters are the real focus of the new plot. Since the plot was rewound to before the death of the Orochis, we have to redo that as well. And you thought Orochi's death felt a bit sudden and anticlimactic in the original Orochi 4, you'll end up being even more disappointed here. They don't even get a proper death cutscene this time around, simply falling down in gameplay and then you're told they're dead. Orochi as a character is proving more and more to just be an artifact in this series at this point. Something to hurriedly bring up because they have to due to this franchise's title, and then be swept aside to focus on the actual new plots. Overall, the story kept me entertained better than the original Orochi 4 story did. It does have a number of advantages. Since the story starts at a point in the plot where everyone's memories of the previous games has been restored, we don't see anyone vaguely recalling a sense of familiarity, which was very overdone dialogue in the original Orochi 4. We're also able to focus on the main plots and not a character collectathon. Which, to be fair, Vanilla Orochi 3 was also a character collectathon, but its story was far better constructed than Vanilla Orochi 4's story. But it has its cons as well. It rehashes a few things from the original Orochi 4. As one key example, in the original Orochi 4, Zeus is killed, but the heroes are then faced with Odin, a crisis that they need Zeus's help to overcome, and thus a plan is made to revive Zeus. This is essentially repeated in Ultimate, but the previous big bad they need the help of is now Odin, and the new threat is now Hades, revealed to be the true main antagonist of the game. And this is more of a personal thing, but I don't like stories that try to redeem all the villains. Odin ends up becoming a good guy, and even Hades seems to accept losing at the end and peacefully returns to his job in the underworld, and in the one post-game battle was civilly fighting alongside the other gods again. I now look back at 3 Ultimates, and I'm happy that QB is sealed away at the end. It doesn't become another supernatural character gushing about how great the humans are. The story ends just as the story in the original Orochi 4 ends. The world collapses, and the gods return the human characters to their native worlds. I already mentioned my aggravation with this sort of ending in my original Orochi 4 review. I assume the reason they've been so keen on this sort of ending since Orochi 3 is that, if we don't get another Orochi game, the story will still seem properly concluded. Though this time the characters do mention returning to a fused world someday. Gameplay-wise, Orochi 4 continues to have many of the same pros and cons the original Orochi 4 had, but there are some significant updates, such as the character select screen now being organized as it was back in Orochi 3, abandoning the very cheap format it had in the original Orochi 4. Though a patch released shortly after launch gives you the option to return to 4's previous format if you enjoyed it. A much appreciated upgrade is that characters you send out for training can still be selected to participate in your battles, so you can manually level up a character while also having camp training leveling up the character at the same time. We can also, through camp upgrades, be sending 5 characters out at once rather than just 3. Camp upgrades also lets you unlock Pandemonium difficulty to select at your leisure, rather than crossing your fingers and hoping that Hoondoon will show up in a battle that you're interested in. Ultimate also gives us the option of changing a character's sacred treasure. You need no longer fear a favorite character of yours having a garbage sacred treasure. If you don't like their defaultly assigned sacred treasure, you can give them another one you like more. Even the sacred treasures that were previously unique to Orochi 4's new characters can now be freely assigned to anyone. Bear in mind that changing sacred treasures will not change a character's unique magic, and they will still pull out their default sacred treasure when doing their unique magic. Promotions also return from Orochi 3 Ultimate, letting you reset a character to level 1 up to 9 times, but offering you various perks with every promotion, ranging from an updated skill tree to the character, to an increase to the amount of gems or growth points you can collect per battle. Most obvious of all are upgrade stones, letting you strengthen your character's parameters, health, attack, defense, and speed. However, the game does not give you enough upgrade stones to max out everything, so you'll never quite have that perfect character. And if you regret how you've invested your upgrade stones, a simple push of a button will have all your upgrade stones refunded and the stat enhancements undone. I'm honestly not a fan of promotions this time around. Back in Orochi 3 Ultimate, a fully promoted out character seemed to be properly balanced for the highest difficulty of that game. And while I could kill enemies fast, they could in return kill me really fast even with maxed out defense. Whereas in Orochi 4, a fully promoted character makes a joke out of absolutely everything. The footage you're seeing right now? A fully promoted Shun Yu with upgrade stone investments on one of the last battles in story mode on Pandemonium difficulty. For this reason, I'm thankful the upgrade stone refund option is available. You can remove those upgrades if you feel the character has become simply too powerful. Hypothetically, they could patch in a new difficulty balance around fully promoted characters and my issue here could be addressed. But as it stands, fully promoting out a character makes them more than a little too strong. In terms of battle design, Ultimate sees a welcome improvement over the original Orochi 4. Orochi 4 had only a few standout battles, and a lot of Orochi 4's side stories were some of the dullest things I'd ever encountered in a Warriors game. On that note, there are very few new side battles in Orochi 4 Ultimate. I'll make specific notes of the final battle in the last chapter. It's quite possibly my favorite final battle of any Orochi game. Maybe a little bit stretched out, Hades comes back for another round, maybe one time too many, but it feels more climactic, and overall better designed than I feel any other Orochi final battle has been. Don't get me started on Vanilla 3's final battle. Lots of people like 3, but I never enjoyed that follow the blue brick road final battle design. Monster enemies make their return, but no new types are introduced. Rather than new monster types, Ultimate is much more happy with throwing giant wraiths around, which were incredibly scarce in the original Orochi 4, only appearing in a small handful of battles. The developers use them rather aggressively here, and it's only now that I'm starting to notice how wonky their hitbox is. There's so many times that you'll swear you're hitting them and nothing is happening. Connected to the story mode are the Perseus fragment battles. 2 fragments are necessarily acquired in normal completion of the new story's normal ending, but the rest require you to go back to older battles with a new objective. You'll be tasked with a new bonus mission which, if completed, spawns a Phantom of Perseus on the map. Upon its defeat, you'll collect a fragment of Perseus. Finishing up Perseus will be necessary to reach the game's final chapter and true ending. The new characters prove to have mostly very dominating movesets, but let me take particular note of Gaia, especially her C5. It hits over a wide range, does crazy damage to any enemy caught in it, and your movement can still be controlled during it. Conversely, the new character Perseus is sort of a clone of vanilla Orochi 4 character Loki. To be specific, they're Kotaro and Dodomeki style clone. They share the same normal combo, but they boast different charge attacks. And I'm not terribly fond of the charge attacks of either characters. They're the only new characters of the 4 era of the Orochi series that I'm not fond of playing as. I'll grant that I find Perseus slightly more effective than Loki. As Orochi 4 Ultimate's replacement to Gauntlet mode, we have Infinity mode, a story of Zeus creating 12 towers and promising his title of King of the Gods to anyone who can climb every last one. The story focuses primarily on Ares and Athena, and their supports Lushun, Kanbei, Joan of Arc, and Himiko. Lushun. Trying to make up for this, Koei? Infinity mode challenges you to complete battles with specific objectives, ranging from simply defeating enemies, to destroying pots, to purifying anchors, and etc. Each battle constitutes a floor of a tower, all of which have 5 floors each. After completing all 12, Zeus will challenge you to a final 100 floor tower. The final tower, the Skyfather Tower, has an assortment of all the previous towers' rules, up until you get to floor 100, which is simply a straight boss fight with Zeus. Altogether, it's a fairly standard side mode in a Koei Warriors game, which is to say it's a very tedious affair. Now, it's not anywhere near the level that was Dynasty Warriors 8's Ambition mode, but I didn't find this enjoyable at all. At first I found it tolerable with the 12 towers, as I could look at my completion of the towers one by one to gauge my progress in the mode, but when it came to the final tower, I just found myself getting bored and tired of it all, and I started doing everything with Odin, using his utterly busted moveset to speed things along. It's helpful that Infinity Mode has a perk where if you beat a level fast enough, the next floor will count as cleared. This let me treat the Skyfather Tower as a merely 50 floor tower rather than a proper 100. In Infinity Mode, you're asked to make a default 7-person team to tackle the mode with. Any and all characters you don't select will be rendered unplayable until you unlock them within the mode. Unlocking them is simply a matter of beating them with a bit of RNG. Whenever you defeat another playable character within the mode, there's a random chance the character will join you afterwards. In my playthrough of Infinity Mode, I managed to collect 151 out of 177 characters organically, not replaying any battles, and not going out of my way to recruit them. Most of the cast should just fall into your lap as you play this mode naturally, with a few stragglers you may need to specifically hunt for. As you play Infinity Mode, you'll come across various materials that you will only find in this mode, which are used to craft a character's ultimate weapon. There are normal materials and character-specific materials. Character-specific materials can be dropped by the character when you defeat them, but you can also get these materials randomly if you're playing as that character in battle. Recall how I said I reached a point where I just used Odin to get everything over and done with? Odin is the only character I managed to create an ultimate weapon for. The ultimate weapons come with an impressive attack power, but are barren skills that can be freely customized. So now I have this as Odin's personal weapon. Fully promoted out with upgrade stones invested, and with a broken weapon with my personally selected skills on it. This Odin is effectively unkillable, and very little in the game can survive a full normal combo from him. What do you know, I've created a game journalist-friendly character in a Warriors game. Overall, my opinion of Infinity Mode was much the same as my opinion of Gauntlet Mode. Once beaten, I really only see it as an experienced grinding mode. Better than Gauntlet Mode? Slightly. Warriors Orochi 4 Ultimate proves to be a competent upgrade to the fairly bland rushed project that was the original Warriors Orochi 4, with many quality of life improvements that made the game much better. However, it has the baggage of a lot of the original Orochi 4's poor gameplay decisions to accompany it. So at the end, I'll give the game a score of 7.5 out of 10. This, I should mention, is the same score I gave to the original Orochi 4. By itself, I might give Ultimate a score of 8, but I need to subtract some points for various reasons. A lot of the quality of life updates, such as the character select screen, feel like they should have been in the original title. And if someone got into Orochi 4 with Ultimate, they have to play through the somewhat underwhelming original title before they get to the better Ultimate content. It just makes me wonder what it would have been like if the original Orochi 4 had been a better product in general, and Ultimate had in turn a better product as its base to be an expansion to. But this is what we got, and as if Ultimate, it's solid, recommendable even, but has some notable problems that will probably reach out and grab you as you're playing it. And that will conclude this review. I find Ultimate a good Warriors game, but there are Warriors games out there that I consider better. I might still put Orochi 3 Ultimate over this game, and unless I have an itch to play as one of the characters introduced in the 4 era, I'd probably go back to 3 Ultimate for an Orochi experience. And that'll be it. I hope you enjoyed this, and I'll see you next time.
不露秋丝。